Negotiate, I will give you 100 grand.
All right, so that's the max you're going to go?
Not one dime more.
You got a deal.
Sweet.
Over the course of more than 500 episodes, world-famous gold and silver pawn shop's co-owner Rick Harrison has made some eye-popping buys. Rick used the store's considerable capital and clout to grab a hold of some incredible pieces of history via large stacks of cash. The staff of the show all have well-trained eyes and know an opportunity to make money when they see it, even if that means putting up huge sums of money. With that in mind, we've compiled some of the series' biggest buys. Here's a look at 10 Pawn Stars deals that were insanely expensive.
36 pages.
This is how many albums you've been on?
Well, albums and films and...
This is your name right here, Vic Flick?
Big Flick, that's my name.
Not very often does the original owner of a guitar walk into the shop and try to sell his own guitar. However, when Vic Flick showed up with his guitar, no one knew who he was, outside of the guitar expert himself. As it turns out, Vic Flick is the man that taught some of the greats, including Jimmy Page. Imagine a man claiming to have taught Led Zeppelin's legendary guitarist Jimmy Page how to play the dang thing, bringing in his own guitar for Rick to buy. That in itself is one of the most unique moments in the show's history, and after confirming who he was, Rick made the purchase for a smooth $55,000.
Honor to meet you. Honor to
Well,
meet you.
thank you, Jesse.
You helped teach Jimmy Page.
I helped Jimmy Page. I advised him on a couple of things, yes.
Good,
Good
man.
to see you.
So what do you think?
I think I love it, to be honest with you. It ain't nothing cooler than a 1932 Ford hot rod.
When Rick made a house call to check out a seller's 1932 Ford Roadster Model B back in Season 7 of Pawn Stars that was in near perfect condition, he was not expecting to walk away owning it. He brought his son along for the field trip, and when they both tried to get into it, they realized just how small it was and that it was nowhere near a practical vehicle to drive for themselves. Rick brought Danny, his car guy and expert in custom vehicles, out to the house to take a look, and he confirmed the value of the vehicle to be around $75,000. After shooing him away, Rick turned to the seller and began to negotiate a deal for the car. After a very stressful negotiation, they settled on $68,250. Not a bad deal.
Hard to get rid of it, but things change. I'd like to get around 105. Least I'll take is 70.
Morning, gentlemen.
Close to the wall, dude.
Rick's a brave man. He was sitting on the right side of this car, and we're going in the corners at 150.
The 2014 Hertz Penske GT Mustang only had 150 of them built, with the first 10 Mustangs off the line going to Hertz VIPs and other executives. This was also the only GT Mustang with a 6-speed manual transmission. So, in order to give it a real test ride, Rick brought in a buddy, NASCAR driver Joey Logano, who got to take it on the Las Vegas NASCAR track and really tear it up. The rarity of the vehicle makes it one of the most popular GT Mustangs built in the past few years. Joey estimated it to be about $75,000, and the seller began negotiations right at $75,000. Rick offered $60,000 and did not offer a cent more. After a few back and forths, Rick stayed with $60,000 and eventually made the deal work.
This thing's a lot faster than I thought it was.
I know I wouldn't ride with myself. It's okay. It's at one piece.
Pretty clear. 32, that's definitely the juice. It's got his football helmet. I mean, it looks like bronze. It looks kind of, you can see the age.
Not only was this one of the most unique items that has ever entered through the doors of Pawn Stars, it was actually brought in by none other than rap superstar and the inventor of wearing a wall clock around your neck, Flavor Flav. The statue used to sit by his pool at his infamous Rockingham Ave home in Los Angeles. When he brought the statue into the shop, he was fully expecting it to bring in $125,000. He actually got it when he did a radio interview, and the station had the statue and wanted to give it to him. As crazy as that sounds, no deal was struck because Flavor Flav was not budging on his $125,000 request.
Like the farmer said to the potato, I'm gonna plant you now and dig you later. That is only for your time, all right?
Tell me about this uber interesting medal I have. It's a Polish medal. I looked that up on the internet.
First of all,
in one of the most surprising moments in Pawn Stars history, a seller came into the shop looking to unload a piece of jewelry they got from a relative without knowing exactly what they were in possession of. The seller showed them the spider brooch and Rick quickly examined it, looking very nervous and excited to the point of nearly crawling out from behind the counter to scream. He knew he was holding something extremely valuable, but the owner did not have a clue about it. She only wanted a couple $1,000s for it, and Rick shocked everyone by offering her $15,000. He could have taken the deal and ran off with a crazy steal, but he just had to be honest to her somewhat. As it turns out, it is worth $80,000, making his $15,000 purchase a great deal.
$30 to $40 grand.
This is a classic car, Rick.
The 30s was the golden age of cars. It was when cars really began to have style.
It's not very often that Rick makes a deal with a seller that ends with him giving someone actual gold in exchange for an item, let alone a 1932 Lincoln Roadster. But when he was approached by the owner, who goes by the name Uncle Phil, of a 1932 Lincoln Roadster, he was drooling at the chance at owning such a rare vintage vehicle. Uncle Phil got the car from a museum a few years ago and was looking to get $100,000 for it, nothing less. This beautiful ride might be worth the $100,000 he was looking for, but Rick deals in a buy and sell business, and this type of item would be tough to sell because of such a limited market. Uncle Phil was not going to negotiate until the idea of selling him gold came about, and the deal was struck for $95,000.
Condition, this could sell as high as 170 grand at auction. But this is not in perfect condition, so buying this is a little scary. How much do you want for it?
$100,000. I'm happy to buy it off you for $1,500. Problem is, it's like buying a car without a VIN number. I could see with a wedding ring.
Former New England Patriots defensive back Brock Williams showed up at the shop one day ready to make a deal for his commemorative 2001 Super Bowl championship ring. It is not often that an actual Super Bowl championship ring makes it into the shop, so Rick was giddy with excitement over the ring when he saw it. What made this ring so collectible was how ridiculously beautiful it was, covered with 143 diamonds and is made of 14-karat white gold. It was the first time a ring exceeded the NFL's rule on expense limits. Rick ended up buying it for $2,000 as collateral for a loan and kept it after Brock never returned to get it. It is now worth $100,000.
Worth tens of thousands of dollars. But a hand-engraved manufacturer's mark just doesn't seem right to me. So I called in my buddy who's an expert to take a look.
This year is a little bit different.
Hi there.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Got a 1922 proof high-relief matte finish coin.
Okay.
One of the rarest coins in American history is the 1922 proof piece high relief dollar coin. If you ask any coin collector, they will tell you that not only is this one of the most amazing coins you will ever see on Pawn Stars, they would love to own a proof piece dollar coin, and not just this one. It is one of those few coins that are legends in the denomination universe. The seller of the coin ended up winning it in a card game and wanted $20,000 for it when he came into the building. But after an expert came in and took a look at it, the price shot up to $100,000. After Rick figured out a good price point, $80,000, a deal was struck and both parties walked away happy.
but less than 100.
Okay. Thanks, man.
Super rare, no problem.
Okay.
Thank you. Congratulations.
History for you here. This is a 1941 Gibson SJ200. It was owned by Stephen Stills of the band Crosby, Stills and Nash.
Stephen Stills was a member of the rock and roll group Crosby, Stills and Nash and is a legendary guitar player. When a young man showed up with it in the shop, it did not take very long before an expert verified the authenticity of it. Jesse, his local guitar expert, loved the guitar, a rare 1941 Gibson SJ200, and even let the owner know about it. The guitar itself was worth at least $75,000, but being owned by Stephen Stills turned that price up another $20,000. After he left, the negotiating began, with the seller looking for $90,000, but Rick offered $85,000 and eventually struck a deal. One of the reasons Rick loves guitars is because of how quickly they fly off the shelves at pawn shops.
It's a guitar, man.
Okay.
I mean, the guitar on its own is probably worth anywhere between 75 and 90 grand. Just buy it.
When you're talking this much money, there's too much temptation to put a bar of steel or something in the center. And when they make them this big, they don't make them in odd weights.
The owner of 200 pounds or 3,000 ounces of pure silver, Jeff, decided it was time to get paid on the investment his father told him about when he was younger. So he wheeled into the shop with sacks and bags of silver. From bars to coins, everything was pure silver. The only issue was a giant silver bar that might have been filled with other metals, so Rick had to test it, which was cool to see how that was done, and found it was the real deal. The offer then came in for $111,000, but that was the absolute most they could do for the silver because of the limited amount of profit margin it would bring him.
When you're talking this much money, there's too much temptation to put a bar of steel or something in the center. And when they make them this big, they don't make them.
And that's all we have for you now. Thanks for sticking around once again and counting down our list of 10 Pawn Star deals that were insanely expensive. Once again, if you liked the video, go ahead and click that like and subscribe. And if you think we forgot something, go ahead and leave a comment down below on what you think we should have added to this list. From everyone here at the channel, we'll see you next time.